The comment I get most in my private readings and in questions in my inbox and in the comments of my videos is, how can we protect ourselves through this? And what can we do to kind of make sure that we're not in the crossfire? And I want to talk to you today about protection spells. And even if you don't want to get one from me on my Etsy shop, I'm cool with that. I'm actually going to teach you how to make this today. So even if you don't get it from me, but you feel like you need it, you can actually make this yourself. And I want to give everyone access to that. Okay, first things first, we're going to cleanse our jar. What I have here and what I prefer to use for this particular protection jar is eagle wood. It's online, and you should be able to get it in an herb store. But I take my eagle wood and I light it. Make sure I get that nice little stream of smoke, and then I bring it in here and I cleanse my jar. Make sure it's a safe space. Now, you're going to take your eagle wood, and I have some Florida water here, and I'm going to soak it in the Florida water. We'll come back to that. The first layer that we're going to put in there is some pink Himalayan salt. You can use a little funnel. Try to break it up as best as possible. I don't have any chunks of salt in my jar, but it happens sometimes. You're going to get a nice good layer of this pink salt. I usually do 4 or 5 scoops. Next, I'm gonna add some copper flakes. Sometimes I use silver in certain spells, sometimes I use gold, but for particular protection, we're gonna add some copper into this. And depending on what materials you work with, it's just very messy. And I'm trying to get them all up, but most of it will probably stick to the table, which is just how things work. We've added our copper. Next, I'm adding some whole black pepper kernels. I want it to be powerful. You can use a different type of spice if you want to, but I like to give my spells a little bit of kick with my power. So I have just a few kernels of that. And then what I have here, and this can vary from different ingredients that you can use to substitute for this, but these are my Just Because roses. And that's because I got them out of pure love and a Just Because reason. And I do believe love is such a powerful thing to infuse into protection spells that I add my personal Just Because flowers. Now, you can add anything that is pure love in here. It can be a piece of scrap off of a love letter. It can be a piece of something you covet. But if it's pure love, go ahead and add that in there. Now I'm going to add a few of my tiger's eye. Put a couple tiger's eye in there. Some quartz. And some amethyst. Make sure they can fit in the bottle. You don't have to use a small bottle like this. You can use an old baby food jar. You can use any kind of container for it. Now we're going to go back to the eagle wood. It's been soaking in the Florida water, as you can see. And this will, I like to kind of pat it dry so it doesn't give off too much moisture in there while it's drying off, because it will. You'll see the moisture in the bottle. But what we do is we stick this down right in the middle of the sand. So it should be like this. Okay? I try to center it, so when I close it, it stays centered. And then, of course, before I send this off to someone, I seal it very well so nothing happens to it. And you can keep it sealed and keep it around you if you prefer. But how I actually use this protection spell is I open it, I take out my eagle wood, and I burn it in places that need protection. Over me, over my husband, over my family, over my pets, over my home, over my car. It usually lasts for anywhere from 2 to 3 months, depending how often you use it. I mean, if you're using it 6 times a day, it's obviously going to last a lot less. But yeah, and then I will, if I need to, sprinkle this in my floorboard, sprinkle this in a corner of my home. So this is kind of a duality type spell where you can keep with you and keep it whole, or you can actually use regularly and replenish as needed. I do have these in my Etsy shop, but you don't have to get anything from me. You can make these yourself. And that is what the finished product looks like. And of course, I have put the instructions on here. One thing I like to say is before you open this bottle, to light a white candle. I think that's very, very important. But you can also do a black candle, and you can pretty much do any candle. I mean, use your own power and intuition. But me personally, I usually use a white candle. When I open this, I light my white candle, I set my intentions, I do my cleansing, and then I put my white candle out. And every time that I do use my spell, I use my white candle with it. So that is a protection spell you can do on your own. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. And if you'd like to get it from me, the link is in my bio.